Hi, my name is Elise, and I am introducing my group for our farm incubator project. Our group's name was Horti-Sapiens, and my group members' names are Will, Cameron, Ruby, and Armando. We were all very excited about our group project because we all had very similar ideas of what we wanted to do in each farm bed. We love focusing on aesthetic looks as well as planting important everyday vegetables that every consumer buys and uses, while incorporating our own design on how to approach farming. In this video, we will describe what we planted, how we planted the crops, and what techniques works best for us.
Our incubator farm was first designed by our group making a list of all of the crops that we wanted to grow this season. Also writing down information such as when the crops would have to get planted, how much fertilizer they needed, what requirements they had, and their days to maturity in order to make sure that we would grow them in time. In our first row, we had half of cucumbers and half of sun gold cherry tomatoes. In this second row, we did a Three Sisters plot with corn, snap peas, and squash, though the squash inevitably died out. In this third row, we did peppers with bush beans, the peppers in there. In our fourth bed, we did broccoli with a bit of kale here at the end and just a little bit of celery at the other end. In our fifth row, which is not quite as visible, we direct seeded some carrot and also grew some green onion at the other end of this bed. Here you can see some of the carrot coming through right now, finally. And in this last bed, we mostly just grew some random crops and starts that were available in the farm, such as kohlrabi, as you can see right here. As for the management of our incubator farm, the most critical times that we were able to manage this farm were on the days of class that we were actually out in the field. It was a lot easier to get most of the work done when all of our group was here and we had 5 hands working the plot. And so on those days was mostly when we would plant crops into the ground, when we would prepare beds for planting, and we would do the bulk of our mulching and weeding and just overall maintenance of the plot. But apart from that, throughout our team, we made sure to have at least 1 or 2 people come out around 2 to 3 times per week on average, just to do any necessary weeding, harvesting, and just doing an overall survey of how healthy our plants were looking regarding disease, pests, and nutrient deficiencies. In order to improve the sustainability of our incubator farm, we implemented a variety of different techniques. First off, we wanted to make sure that we planted a diversity of crops. As you can see throughout the semester, we've grown at least 10 crops on this small piece of land alone, and have done so successfully for a lot of them. We've also implemented certain strategies to improve the microbiology of our soil, such as having green mulch in between our rows. Instead of simply using plastic or hay or mulch, we opted to plant ryegrass in between our rows. While it's mostly overtaken by weeds right now, it was mostly ryegrass, and by having living roots in our soil, it helped keep all of those microorganisms alive by having those living roots in the ground. We also opted to not mow down a lot of the wildflowers that grew around our plot. As you can see, we have a lot of wild mustard right now around our entire plot. We decided not to mow it down in hopes of attracting pollinators and other insects that would hopefully eat the pests that could threaten our crops. We also increased the sustainability of our project, or of our plot, by the timing of our fertilization. There were a lot of times where we were planning to fertilize our plot and there was expected to be a storm or hurricane or some heavy rain, and we always opted to fertilize after the storm. One specific problem we encountered on our incubator farm was weeds. As you can see, after just a little bit of time of not quite keeping up with the incubator farm, has been mostly kept up with, or mostly overrun by weeds. Specifically, we had a large problem with weeds in this bed of peppers that you see right here. We decided to do a straw mulch in this bed in order to help water retention and also in order to prevent weeds, but as soon as the mulch started decaying, weeds started popping up very quickly and it was hard to keep up with them. And after some time, this bed quickly got overrun with weeds. As you can see, it's mostly run by oxalis right now, overrun by oxalis right now. At least personally, one of the most interesting observations I've made on the incubator farm throughout the semester has been seeing what part of the plant food comes from. Like tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers, your food comes from the fruit produced by the plant. With plants like kale, the food that you're eating are the leaves. Or with broccoli, the food that you're eating is the flower. Seeing that our food not only comes from different plants, but by exaggerating different parts of a plant or just consuming different parts of a plant, you create different foods that are unique and different tasting and different looking and work pretty well together.
Hi, everyone. So, looking back at our SMART goals that we set at the beginning of the project, I feel that we've satisfied most of them, just in a different way than we originally intended, especially with things like companion planting and specific row spacings. And we had to adjust for things like the hurricane throughout the semester, but overall, our team is very satisfied with how everything went. So, having everything been said and done, we learned more the importance of spreading our fertilizer into different periods versus a one-time application at the beginning of our cropping season. But we would also like to make adjustments to our companion planting design, maybe incorporate living mulch and attempt relay cropping in the future. And we would also like to work with more flower type crops as well.